what is it that you actually want? Some people want $6,000 a month, let it chill, not scale, that's cool. And that's amazing. That's what they know that they need, and that's cool, and there's a way to do that. Some people want to go, actually, I want 200 a month. You niche on who you are. We were sat in a flat, it was me and the missus, and that's when I got addicted to ecom.
Yeah.
You just see this like
sales goal.
He like posts it and it's just spike, and you're like, oh my god. Everyone's out here building logos, building websites, doing all the like nice, fluffy, creative stuff. No one's out there grafting.
Working, yeah, just get it.
And actually, that is so true. So I do think there's still a massive place for digital marketing agencies. That's not what we're saying at all. You've got YouTube, which is just a minefield. Or you've got courses, which people are flogging for like £1,000 a course, which I think is a disgrace. Although follower count is incredibly important for loads of different reasons, it's also less important than how much money you're making.
Welcome back to another episode to A Brand Show with A Brand Specialist. We're in the building. Today, we're with another guest. Thank you very much for coming on the show, George Peirce. Yeah, man. It's going off. It's going off today. So, all right, let's just get straight into it. First and foremost, who the hell are you, mate?
Thanks for having me down, mate. Or up, I should say, I suppose. Yeah. Who am I? When we think about this on the train, I don't think there is like a very good intro. I'm just a pretty normal bloke. But my name's George. I've got a digital marketing agency, which I've had for a few years. Worked with, been very blessed, very blessed. I worked with some big clients, and we've grown that to like over 7 figures now, which is pretty sick. And then we've also had our own e-com brands, which we've had for a long time, which we've scaled again to decent levels, as well as something that we started, and obviously we'll chat about today, but sort of like a startup incubator company about a year ago that helps any brands really, but e-com brands, service brands looking to scale without paying big agency fees. And that came from sort of like a derivative of the agency. You're working with agency clients for a long time, and then that shift into sort of like to the smaller guys trying to scale, but still like insane product, know what they're doing, all that sort of stuff. Just bringing big agency down, but also still having big agency at the same time.
Sick. That's sick. So 7 figures, that's a big number, bro.
Yeah. To be honest, the mad thing is I didn't even know until I was on the train. I was thinking, because you sent me over some questions and stuff, and I was just thinking about going through everything. And it's so, to be honest, like it's all a little bit irrelevant and mad, because everything's so circumstantial, isn't it? Like you've got huge companies doing, so my first company I worked for was big corporate. I worked for IBM, and they at the time were doing like $80 billion. That's a bigger number. Yeah, like 400,000 employees and stuff, and it was just mad. And so I think it's all relative, isn't it? And like those numbers are just ego numbers. They don't really mean anything at all.
They fucking do, man. So in terms of the journey, like what's it taken to get to this stage? Like where were you born?
I was born in Kent. All the way down on the coast.
Yeah, so baby George didn't come out just running this 7 figure.
Not quite. Now we had, honestly, again on the train, I was like just such a blessed upbringing. Like honestly, it was so lucky. Really mum and dad, they would hate me for saying this, but we grew up middle class, but my mum and dad were very working class, and they were just like,
they're like, George, don't say that.
Yeah. They just both absolute grafters. Like all I can remember coming up was that like my dad is like one of 7, and we again like massive families, both had huge families. Everyone was around us all the time. And they both like dad left school 15, 16 and went grafting and made us money. And all I can remember really growing up is just like always out there just getting it done. Like my mum, she again left school early, but then when my brother was born, but then my dad would like take us to night school because my mum was learning how to be like a bookkeeper, and then we'd like be in the car asleep and she'd be out there grafting, and then we come home. I said like weirdly I got married last year, last month.
Yo,
and cheers. And in the speech, like you like have to think about everything in your life and then like go through it. And I was like, all I can remember is going to bed and mum in the other room, like in our like little box room, working like 9 p.m, 10 p.m, and that's what I sort of remember growing up. So that happened, and that stuff's unreal. Still very blessed that everyone's still about, which is class. And then went to uni To be honest.
What uni did you go to?
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'd but to be honest, mate, I went because I thought I should.
Yeah,
I didn't really have I knew I wanted to be in business. I've always had companies. When I was 16, 17, I was flipping shit.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
Yeah. And doing everything that I could. And then when I went uni, very similar thing. I'd set up a six-a-side tournament thing at uni, and it ran for the whole time. And maybe we were just taking cash, and we were telling the HQ people that we had like 3 teams. In reality, we had like 42, and we were just running cash through all the time. It was just class.
Yeah.
And then
uni's a good place to try and set something up because of the network and the amount of people that you're around. It's like you're around a lot of people. So I feel like you got to utilize what's around you. And you got time.
I didn't realise that when I'd left, I'd have no time. Yeah. And then at uni, you don't realise.
You're blessed with time.
What you're doing, really.
And you got people that actually kind of give a fuck about what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
And like, for want of a better word, like, you don't realise then, but now looking back, like, everything was cheap. As in, like, people were cheap, so like all your mates. All your mates, like on six-a-side, I'll pay like one of my best mates 20 quid for the night to ref, and then we'd split the cash at the end. But like
people are cheap.
Like no, it's cheap. And then it was mad, and like, but it wasn't that it was cheap. It was that actually we all were in it together. Like we were none of it. Like we were just, and at the end we'd just have it all, break it, and then go out, and that would be it. And I don't think. You don't really have that like flexibility when you leave. Like people are a lot more like want contracts and like want to do this and want a 5-year plan, and you have to show that you're making this much money. At uni, it's like, mate, do you want to go and run a six-a-side football club? And they're like, yeah, definitely. And you go do it.
Sick, man.
So yeah, we did that. That was sick. And I left uni, went to work for again. I got lucky. I did a placement year.
Was you studying business at uni? Or?
Yeah, economics and finance. I think I just did it because I thought like it might come to something. Like, I didn't really know why. My mum's always pushed me to just like keep going. Do you
reckon you're trying to make mum proud as well? Or?
Yeah, maybe, to be fair. And like people always say that we are quite similar. Like she's just a boss, mate. She's just like, and like the day my sister was born, so my sister's like 11 years younger than me.
Is it just one sister that you got?
My brother as well. So he works for us now. My brother does, and my mum works for us as well.
Yo, shout out the whole family, man.
Yeah, my mum and my brother work for us. It's unreal. Which again, so blessed, man. Like that's the best thing. But the so the day after my sister was born, she was back at work. Again, like they're the things that like I sort of remember, I suppose. And like that next day going to school, I'm like, mum's in the office, like grafting, and my sister's there. My dad's just like with his baby. But it was that was that. And then obviously we left uni and went to work in the corporate world. Yeah, and realised quite quickly that probably weren't for me.
So how long did that last? And then was you still side hustling at the time or what?
Yeah, always. Like I always had like I've had like car sourcing companies. There was like literally anything you can think of I've had from a service perspective because I knew it was quick to run up. Right. So I had those. I had a relatively good gym econ company, fitness econ company, where a lot of it really started. I would say that's where it got quite serious.
Selling equipment?
Yeah, selling equipment,
Drop shipping or?
No, a bit of both. I was holding a bit of stock, but I didn't have any money, so...
where's this stock coming from?
It was
holding this stock.
But just made it work. So I was at IBM, and then loads of things happened. But I realised that being in a like they were like, mate, you've got to stay in this grad scheme for 2 years, and like we're not going to do anything with you or for you. And I was like, one thing I would always say is I've always worked a lot, like. For good or bad, like I've always liked it, but always worked a lot of hours. And I thought really that when I said to my manager, can I get like a bit of a pay rise or promotion or whatever? Can I have the conversation? And he was always like, yeah, mate, in like 20 months. And I was like, mate, 20 months? Mad. What am I like? Yeah. I can't do that. But don't get me wrong, I also think that those things for lots of people, like going into that world, is 100% right. Like it gives so much structure, amazing safety. Don't get me wrong, there's loads of redundancies again at the moment, but it gives a lot. It's just a different life, isn't it? That like probably wasn't right for me. So I was really lucky again. I got headhunted by a startup in the city, and it was for an electric vehicle company. And I was like I was under 100. So it was like small, and we grew it to like over 3,500 people. We floated on the stock market in New York. It was at a time in the world where you could get hold of a lot of money. So like venture capitalists were going mental and they were giving out quite a bit of cash, and that went to that startup. And that was an insane experience, mate. I was like 23 or 4, something like that.
Yeah.
And they were like, right, here's like hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
And
from the venture capitalists.
From anywhere, mate. It was just coming. And then they're like, right, so go and build these factories. And I was like, start. But we just went out.
What was your role?
I literally was like, I started as a buyer.
Yeah.
And then it moved to project manager.
Yeah.
But mate, I had no idea how to.
Yeah.
The last thing I did was Lego. You know.
Yeah.
And then they're like, go and build a factory. And I was like, all right, YouTube.
Here's a couple hundred M's
mate,
as well.
It was just mad. It was, but honestly, like insane experience. Everything I learned about not really like caring about boundaries and like barriers and stuff.
Okay.
Was all from that.
Wow.
It was me.
Yeah.
3 or 4 Russian blokes.
Yeah.
And some lads that I knew from about town, and we were just out there just creating companies, and it was honestly insane. Also mental, and like mental breakdowns everywhere, and like was just like nuts. It was, 20-hour days living.
Yeah, it could like could be a little movie, man, in there. Man.
Honestly,
you know what I mean?
I don't know even if I'm allowed to say the company name, but like it's now gone.
Yeah.
So it went.
Oh, it's gone.
So
like.
it was. I don't know, but like it was, the head was a Russian guy, and it was before the war, obviously, and then as the war came, obviously things got really, really hard, and obviously like horrendous situation and all that sort of stuff, and it was just again like made me realise a lot though about, without getting really boring, but around like concentration risk in business.
Right. What's
like
that mean?
So when it's like, and this is massive for agency owners, like huge, and I'm realising that sort of now 3 or 4 years into the journey, but concentration risk is basically when you're all in on one thing.
Yes.
So when you're all in on one thing, it's amazing because you're all in on one thing and all your energy and all your resources and everything's going in that direction.
Mad.
But as soon as that one thing has its legs cut off, like nothing.
I like this because this is what I discuss with Chase quite a lot of the time, and I discuss it with other people as well. When you're starting something, a skill or a business, a lot of the time we're getting, maybe you got some advice on this. It seems like you got quite rounded opinions. We get told you need to find your niche, you need to find your focus, do one thing. And as a creative person, myself, or a person that just has a lot of ideas, I find it difficult to just put myself, what I feel, even you can tell from the language, I feel like I'm putting myself in a box. I'm locking myself off from opportunities and chances and stuff like that. So I kind of feel like this word concentration risk, I will be adopting that when I'm telling people I can't just do one thing. Is that kind of like what you're referencing there, or like I don't know?
And then definitely from a business perspective, but what I'd say about you and what I'd say to like all the creators that we work with.
Yo, people, quickly just want to mention something that I know is going to be of extreme value to you. You know, when you go into the gym, you're not motivated, you're not seeing the results that you want to see, or even you can't take yourself to the gym. Gyms are boring, gyms are intimidating, or it's just not really for you, the workouts that you see going on. Yeah, I can relate. I've been there. Trust me. Gravity Fitness is the solution. And I'm saying that hand on heart, I would recommend it to anybody. There's a whole plethora of products you can choose from on the Gravity Fitness website. They are made to survive an apocalypse. So imagine what they're going to do to your body and your physique. Gravity Fitness is for all levels of individuals and athletes. It's for people that are trying to get into calisthenics. They've even got these gymnastic rings, so they're for gymnasts as well. You can do body weight exercises and then you can add a little weight to it with the weighted vest, which is adjustable as well. Long story short, bad boy product, that's why I'm bringing it to you. I'm a believer in it, and I'm so grateful that they've partnered with this podcast to bring you 10% off all purchases. Now that is a game changer. I wish I had 10% off when I bought my first vest. I wish we had 10% off. So make sure you go check them out. Use the code ABS10 at checkout for 10% off. Now without further ado, let's get back into the content.
A lot of the time, and this is going to sound a little bit like hippy dippy, but like their niches themselves.
Yes, bro. I was saying
like,
that
and
all the time.
And I think from the new world that we're coming into, where you've got like a lot of personal brands running companies. You look at like Cole Buxton, Represent with George Heaton, like all of these guys they're personal brands in their own sense, but they're driving their brands, right? And if you're looking, that's from an e-com perspective. From a service perspective, if you took like, let's say a fitness influencer, for example, market's completely flooded, but you niche on who you are as a human. So we've got a couple of big ones at the moment, and they're niching on their personalities really, because then in turn that then brings the client that they want, and then consequently drives more volume and then more revenue, and then all of a sudden the business gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think there's annoyingly, and this is my answer to a lot of things, I think there is an argument for both sides. I've seen people niche so incredibly well. They'll go down to like the niche is a niche, but make good money. And I think if that's what your goal is, and again, to take a step back, one thing when we start working with guys is really, what do you want? What do you want to achieve? Like what is it that you actually want? Is it, and completely fair, some people want $6,000 a month and let it chill, not scale. That's cool. And that's amazing. And that's what they know that they need. And that's cool. And there's a way to do that. Some people want to go, actually, I want 200 a month. And then some people go, actually, I want the IBM. I want 80 billion, but I want 500,000 people. And like they know that that's the case. I think it's working out what you want as a human being, and then working out the plan for that. But the niching thing is such a difficult one, mate, because it's just from a service perspective, just trying to work out what you want, and then you can sort of niche around that. You've obviously got like a great platform, and I think obviously you as a person would do well. It's just then working, because you can sell, and if you can sell, you can do anything. But it's just then working out what piece you want to do it on.
I hear that, man. All right, so back to the journey then, right? You was doing the IBM thing, you was setting up these factories, and that Russian war, Ukrainian war happened. This is a movie. So it's crazy.
And even in that time, man, like I was still hustling, getting it done on the side with like ecom brands, and I was doing like bits and pieces on the service side. I had one within the Russian company, there was like some amazing humans.
Still got some links now?
Yeah, of course. I've had like rent to SA companies, like property companies that we tried. I think and before we started rolling, you said something that I agree with completely, that everything you do, you've learned from. Like it could be the most random thing, right? In a field that you've never looked at.
I thought you meant a literal field, then I was like, yeah.
No, but also, do you know what I mean? But everything, just like you learn from, and then you use it in different ways. Like, and it's like the rent to SA thing, mate. I was cold knocking on people's doors, which is, by the way, anyone that wants to do anything can learn how to be a brutal human being. Go cold knocking on people's doors and try and sell them something, because that is, mate. Brutal. So I was doing that, and you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not a property tycoon of like any kind. Like, it was awful, mate. It was an absolute car crash. But I went round and knocked on these people's doors and was trying to sell, and like the skills that I learned from that now back into agency life for the last few years, have been nuts. So all of those learnings, and I got really lucky with my brands when I was at the Russian company. They that was an amazing experience. And then throughout COVID, I had the gym e-commerce brand, and I did a lot of outreach to influencers, which at the time felt like wasted time because it wasn't getting anything back. And then one of them really kicked off, and he was a guy that's still a client now.
Sick.
And that was obviously incredible, and the gym brand didn't work out. But
So you were asking him to market your products.
And he did, man. Like we were in. Again, like the power of outreach, right? Like I'd message, I'm not talking like I messaged one, I messaged probably thousands of influencers at this point. And one thing I would say about outreach, which people ask me about a lot, is it's not one message. Like the guy that I got in the end, who was amazing, and he's been a client for a very long time, I was chatting to him like 4 or 5 years before, not about anything. I was just chatting to him, and like never know about this relationship or relationship that you're going to DM someone now, but you might not think that it's important in that moment, but 100%. In 4 or 5 years' time. And anyway, with that guy, it was literally that. And I was like, mate, I've launched this gym brand. I need a big push, and I've got dumbbells, and I know you need them because it's lockdown. No one can get them, and I've got them. So do you want a couple? And he was like, 100%, I'll post it everywhere.
Sick guy.
And mate, we literally did it, and we were sat in a flat. It was me and the missus, and you just see this, and that's when I got addicted to ecom.
Yeah.
Because you just see this like
sales go.
He like posts it, and it's just spike, and you're like,
fucking
oh my god.
Oh shit. Yeah.
And that was that. That was.
So you're still addicted to ecom then?
Yeah, I'm 100.
Mad, yeah. I'm looking into it. Therefore, it's the one. It's the one.
It's so hard, but 100%.
Yeah,
I think so.
Was you using Shopify then?
Yeah, we used Shopify back in the day. And again, I learned all my skills there because I haven't done it myself. So I had, that wasn't my only ecom brand. I've had a few and I've got a couple now, but that was probably like 3 years ago, something like that. And then I got quite all right at it, got quite good at it. And then and learned like pure foundations of it, I think. And then the agency starting is a pretty mad story, to be fair. So.
Was that close to this situation of the gym equipment then, or was there something in the middle of that?
It's one of those things, isn't it, that there wasn't like a moment where the agency started. It wasn't like I sat down and I was like, nah, I'm going to create an agency.
Yeah, but you've got like, you're incorporating the business, you're coming up with a name, logo and stuff like that. Or did that just happen later then? Or
Mate. Yeah. So Operexx, which is the name of the agency.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that, man. We need to shout that out.
That was the name of another business that I had 3 years before.
Oh, shit.
I just kept it.
You just had it parked up.
Mate, and I think...
So now you understand, I got 21 domains, fam.
Yeah, mate, honestly.
They're coming in useful at some point.
I saw a great video on the way here, though, and the guy was like, everyone's out here building logos, building websites, and doing all the like nice, fluffy, creative stuff.
Yes.
But like no one's out there grafting.
Working, just get it
and actually,
done,
that is so true. Like the amount of people were like... And I think this is also an amazing step that you have to do. That you definitely have to do that. And from an e-com site, it's slightly different because you do need that first. But I think, and I'll get a lot of people come to us and they're like, look, this is the brand that I've got. And I'll open it. I'm like, that is unreal. And then I'll jump on a call with them and they'll be like, oh yeah, I've sold like one jumper in the last 6 months. I'm like, how? Like, this is insane. So I think people just get that bit mixed up. But yeah, there's a lot of overlaps with my stuff. I think, again, very blessed. With the company, the startup that I was working with, they unfortunately they had to make a lot of redundancies, and I was in that sort of churn, which, speaking very openly, was absolutely incredible for me.
Yeah, because you got paid out,
mate.
Was this the startup that went clear as well?
Yeah.
So you got properly reimbursed for your redundancy.
I got paid out, but even better for me.
Yeah.
It basically allowed me to not have to go and get another job immediately.
Yes.
So and also, again, I think if you are employed, you should definitely do your job. don't do this. But like for the last 6 months of my employment, mate, I did the nada. Yeah. And I literally I just worked on everything else. Yeah, man. But I was good at my job, so I was sort of like I was able to do it. Yeah. And then I did all the other stuff, and that's when
the company was going under anyway. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking practically speaking.
Exactly,
you know
exactly. And you've got to look out for yourself, I suppose. But that's when I suppose the agency started.
Man.
Properly, I suppose. Yeah.
Under what? For what was the purpose though? Why? What was the intention behind it then?
I was getting I was getting quite a lot of questions from other people around me at the time about like sort of what we were doing. Like I was working on just like little bits and pieces, and people asking me like, oh, that's cool. What's that? And I was like, oh, maybe I do know like,
some stuff.
A little bit. Like I know a bit, and actually it turned out that I knew quite a bit. And then I read a book called Sell Like Crazy by Sabri Subi. Now looking back, it doesn't really have that much value, but at the time I was like, this book is mad. And it basically taught me how to create my first funnel. So the first funnel is like a lead magnet funnel that you create, and it teaches you like step by step. And I was like, mate, how does everyone else not know about this? So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I was like dabbling about. I was like, nah, I can probably do this. In reflection, I didn't really know anything. I just read a book, but I was naive enough to start and just thought I can do this. Yeah. So I sent out. By this point, by the way, I've had like gardening companies, everything, and I did all that cold calling stuff. And then with the agency, I was like, okay, I need to go get some clients. So fitness, I know a bit about it because of e-com and that. I will message every PT around me. In Southwest London. But I sent them a message that I didn't even think about now, but I still use it today. And it was just, hey Rob, how are you? ? Space down. Georgia, are you free for a quick call? but these blokes had no idea who I was. The amount I had, insane response, because everyone was like, who are you?
You thought might be a client.
Yeah, and they're calling me. So then they're calling me back thinking, oh, yeah, maybe I know them, whatever. So they're calling me inbound sales. I'm like, oh, hi, Rob. Yeah, my name's George. I run a digital marketing agency, blah, blah, blah.
That is the bad. That is sick.
Mate,
that is sick.
It was mad.
That's
and
sick.
this one guy, big shout out to Rob, actually.
Shout out. I don't even know who Rob is right
honestly,
now. Honestly.
And he took me on and he was like, he must have known that I knew, that I didn't know like what I was doing. But he was like, no, I'll take a risk. And yeah, it was class. So that was my first client. And then...
what were you doing?
Just like a lot of Facebook ads, funnel build out he was a PT. So I knew a bit about that because of the influencers that I'd use. Again, no wasted time, right? Like the influencers that I'd spoken to back in the day for my ecom brand had taught me how to run fitness service businesses. And I was then helping other fitness service providers now. So it was like all this like crazy like cross learnings from everybody. But yeah, funnel build out, Facebook ads, sales. Yeah. Getting more basically. And then a mad one from him. He led me to my second client, which was a clothing guy called Alex, and I did some stuff for him. And again, more Facebook ad stuff, and I was just still learning, building my team too, like building my network, because I was able to obviously go and find people. And then the bit where it really kicked off, I was doing outreach for Alex, because I was like, you need influencers, and I know how to do that. So I was like DMing everybody, DMing. Insta, yeah. And then there's a guy that I've spoken to a long time, and he's definitely still a client today, James Exton, ledge, be amazing on this podcast. He's like an absolute beast. James,
we're coming for
honestly,
you, mate.
He's a ledge, JELDNM. And I messaged him, and I was like, mate, I didn't really know him. I had no idea who he was. We just chatted a couple of times on Instagram, and I was like, mate, I've got these tracksuits. Do you want to meet up? I'll give them to you for free, and you just post about them or whatever. And he was like, yeah, sound 100%. And he was like, but I can only do 11:30 down in southwest London because I'm training. And I was like, yeah, sound, I'll do it. So I got in the car and I bombed down there, and I recognised him. So we met. I give it to him on the spot. I knew he owned LDNM, and I knew he owned other ecom companies, and I sold him Facebook ads there on the spot. Next day went back, started with all of his brands. He has a
you're opportunist, aren't you?
And I think and we got again really, I've always said we are blessed, and we have been the whole time. But also mate, the volume and thinking about on the train and then talking to you, I'm like, it's nuts, the things that we got involved in. Because that's one thread. In reality, I did that 1,000 times and it never worked. And there's the one that did okay.
So would you say persistence?
Yeah, and just relentlessness, mate. I think and know that it's a lot of the time it's pretty shit. And it's pretty hard, and it's tough, and it's a lot of stuff that never works.
Side note, one thing I have clocked about you from the conversation from when I've met you, just walking up the stairs to here or now, one of your most frequently used words would be blessed. You keep saying we're blessed or I'm blessed and so for that I feel like gratitude might be something that you maybe subconsciously or actively practice. Like you're saying, when things are shit or not very nice, sorry mom, stop swearing. So but you're actively practicing gratitude all the time. Is that a thing, or I don't know, this was what I'm clocking? Nah. Do you think?
Yeah, mate, because I've seen it go really bad. You have to be, for me personally, I just think I am super grateful for where I'm at, and we'll always work really hard. The game is very humbling. The game that we're in is so humbling. I've seen guys fly and then die every day. It's nuts. And I think as well, I've had times in my life, and even now, really, I don't really like to use the word stress because I don't think that I am that stressed. But maybe in very intense times in my life, with work or whatever. But then something actually bad will happen. Recently my best mate's mum passed away. And you just think that's bad. That's horrendously bad. So the fact that I get to come in here and sit and chat about stupid things that I've done, and go to Manchester and see the boys and about that, and just chat about trying to make more money or trying to do cool things. I'll always be grateful for that. I think there will also be times where, as I say, a lot of time it is really hard. But I think it's just trying to remember that we're lucky to be doing what we do, and I've also, again, to use the word blessed, I've hired absolute killers.
Yeah.
Like I've been, you know, my brother works for us. There's 15 of us in the agency, so we're still small, like on agency level. But like my brother, I couldn't trust anyone more. He does a lot of our sales and account management stuff. How incredible! Like not many people can say that and trust him implicitly. My mum does a lot of our like bookkeeping and our accounts. Again, I don't ever have to second guess it or whatever. So again, very blessed on that front. And my head designer, Reese, is one of my best friends, and he worked for Virgin, Swarovski, did both the rebrands, and then come work for us.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
when you say designer, what's he designing like?
So he's a graphic designer. But he does like insane rebrands. We do a lot of email marketing work in the agency, so he'll do a lot of that. He leads our design team, so we have an in-house design team back in London.
Yeah.
So yeah, he leads all of that. That stuff. Yeah, but again, incredible. Like taking a lot of stress off of us.
What do you actually do then with the agency? Like, how does that go?
So now the agency is built really around. We would call ourselves like a digital marketing agency. I think that what I've learned really quickly when I had on that journey piece, it scaled relatively quickly. So like over the last sort of 2.5 years.
Operexx.
Yeah. So over the last like 2.5 years, it's gone. We've been, again, just heard, now you said I do use a lot, but like we have been blessed.
Man, it's a good thing.
Yeah, so we worked with pretty much all relatively large watch dealers in the city. So we've had like a lot of guys in Hatton, but then we've also had Subdial, who are an amazing watch company. We had those guys.
Are you bringing them like more footfall, more attention? You're getting in more sales? So how is it doing? Because I got people on my books as well that do the watches and are big in the watch game, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I think there's been a big transition in the watch game and in the jewelry game where like not even personal brands, but online presence has been required.
Serious?
Like before, back in the day, there'd be like a load of Rolex ADs knocking about. They chuck some Daytonas around, and then all of a sudden it would like be fine. But actually now there's like a lot of resellers out there who have got great presence online, and that's been a big thing. And we've been, you know, we work with a lot of those guys. Subdial were more collector based, so they had amazing pieces, man. I don't know if you're into watches.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Like I wasn't, honestly, and then I worked with all these guys, and now I can't get rid of it. Like I love it, but they had amazing collector pieces. They'd be like the John Newman Daytonas and all that sort of stuff. Like it was absolutely nice. And then we worked with another company called Official, and all these things sort of just roll on. So we had a lot of jewelry companies. Anushka were a big one for us. Their average order value was like 15 grand.
So you're doing funnels, or what is it again?
Facebook ads, email marketing, social management, strategy.
Is that to their current clients or new prospective clients?
Both, yeah. So like a lot of retention, so with current clients, and then also outreach, so a lot of acquisition.
You've got a lot of systems in place then to, like, what's it called, CRM, when you've got your old contacts.
So we have a lot. So for us, it's very much split like e-commerce and service based. From an e-commerce side, all the jewelry guys and the watch guys, and for those, Facebook ads, Google ads, web management, social, like proper end-to-end digital management. Yeah. And then on the service side, a lot of funnel build out. So ads into funnels, into emails, into sales, basically.
And that's for the new.
Yeah, for acquisition. And then on retention, a lot of emails. Yeah. But we can scale both. I think that's what I've loved. Like, to answer your question earlier about niching, like people have said to me all the time, George, you could 10x if we niche down on watches, or 10x if you niche down on fitness influencers. Like, maybe. But actually, at the same time, I love going into one meeting, talking to a fitness influencer who's got 1 million followers and trying to work out how he can make more sales, and then flipping to an e-com company, trying to get them up to 7 figures. Do you know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, they're very different. But for me, I love that, like that change in pace all the time. So the agency is at a point where we've got insane client retention. We've got like over 90%, which
that's insane.
Is mad. Yeah, you know, over a longer period of time now as well. Yeah. So we've had that for like a very, very long time, which has been great. But one thing that I learned very quickly was that I didn't actually agree with the marketing agency model at all. I think it's completely broken.
Yeah. So now we're getting into the second offer that you give to the world, right?
Yeah. Which, like, again, for like you guys and anyone is so cool. It's something that I'm actually super passionate about.
Because it's more accessible.
It's more accessible, and for me, there's better product market fit.
Right. I
think let's say
it makes more sense.
if you're doing 50 mil,
that's quite groundbreaking what you're doing.
But the problem that you've got is that there is a huge disconnect. So from like a business perspective, agencies have super high overheads. So we might turn over okay money, but like our overheads are high because we need the amazing people to do the work.
Is that why you said that it's ego-based, these figures, like
100%,
7 figures?
because you've got guys out there going, I do multi-7 figures. It's like, that's cool. But if you're spending multi-7 figures, then that's not that cool.
Yeah, so for the benefit of the listener or the viewer, you're talking about gross revenue and net profit, right? Like, so
and from the simplest perspective, like how much you're making compared to how much you're spending.
How much you're making. You said it better than me. All right, you take over the show. You take over the platform.
No, sorry,
busy.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah.
But that's what I say about the ego thing, because I've had guys that are doing silly numbers, like multi-7 a month, but then they're spending that. And then at the end of the year, we're all going like,
where's the money at, man?
Yeah, what's going on? What have we done?
You got 50p.
Yeah, is it? But genuinely. But then you've got other guys that might be doing a lot less, but have no overheads.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's beautiful. But they might, on paper, people will be like, it's not as impressive because they're not turning over as much. But it's like, they've got more, and they've got more of an abundant life and everything. So it depends what you want. But I think with OGC, which is what you're talking about, the offer, it's £291 a month.
Okay, so right, cool. So for clarity purpose, Operexx, that is the digital marketing agency essentially. Yeah, you work with brands, businesses, and personal brands as well to scale. Get them there, retain their current customers and get them new customers. Then we've got OGC, which sounds like it's not a gang. Okay, we're not doing that. We're professional people, right? The organized crime group is not that. All right, we're Trident, Nottinghamshire Police, Reacher. It's not that. We promise you. Yeah, it's OGC. What does that stand for? Can we have a breakdown?
Operexx Growth Community.
Operexx Growth Community, which is much more. We can take a deep breath.
Not sure how much more legit it is.
We can relax. It's an organized go-getters collective. That's what we are.
Nice. Maybe I'll change it.
And for that, it's like a community group. That's what made me message you, right? Because you're offering people to join for a reduced price, and they can still access your knowledge and your advice and a little bit of extra guidance. So what is it?
It was all born from that exact thing that I do think if you're doing 50 million, whatever you're doing, if you've got good revenue numbers and you need an agency, it makes sense. I think there's still definitely a place for agency, and for us, I think there's still an amazing way to get insane amounts of knowledge for a portion of the price. So an agency, in essence, has invested in that knowledge pool, so you don't have to. Because the other option is the big brands, they have to hire these people. In the reality, when you hire someone full time, they'll be on it 100%, but have they got the knowledge from all the other brands? They haven't, whereas an agency does have that. So I do think there's still a massive place for digital marketing agencies. That's not what we're saying at all. I think we created OGC out of seeing this insane pain point for scaling companies that didn't have an option. Because agencies are expensive, which they should be. They've got massive overheads. They can't be cheap. Like, you have to charge £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 a month minimum to actually cover your costs. Then you've got YouTube, which is just a minefield. Some great stuff on there, but you're going to be on there for 100 hours a day. It's just insane. Or you've got courses, which people are flogging for like £1,000 a course, which I think is a disgrace. And I'm happy to say that on YouTube.
Well, you know what? Don't eat your words, because no, man, big up Luigi. Luigi said the same thing, but right now he's got his own community group as well, and I've paid into these courses. That's how I met Chase, into these community groups as well.
So there's a massive difference between community and course. So for me, it's like, I think, so I've also used like coaches and courses and stuff a lot, and actually I would say on camera, which I've probably never said out loud, that has been a huge multiplier for me. I used to think that was absolute rubbish, and I used to be like, coaching stuff, don't get near it, it's fluffy. But actually, mate, if you can find someone that has done stuff that you want to do, and they've done all the things wrong that you're going to do, and you can fast track that and pay X amount for it, it's class. But so that front, I get the coaches. When I say course, I mean like, here's a digital marketing course from a guy that hasn't done it,
and it's £1,000,
and it's more than that. That's the problem. They're charging like $5,000 for these courses, and that's the bit that I don't like. So what we did with OGC is We basically took every pain point we could think of and we created a product. So you get one-to-one strategy, which I think is super important for scaling businesses because really they don't know where they're going. Like, so I think that's important. It's 24/7 support from the agency, so you still get agency access, which again is important. And then you get basically all of the modules around things that you need to go and do. So for example, like it's step-by-step meta ads, step-by-step Google ads, which we then take from the agency and put into that community. The issue that there's a huge disparity because we want to price it the best that we can because that's the whole point of it. But also you've got to pay for everyone. So I personally think it's absolutely incredible. And like we've got those testimonials to sort of back that up. But it's something that we're really super passionate about. And I think it's for service-based companies and product-based companies. So it's very much so for both.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. I love it.
So how does that work then? The people pay the money, they join, and then what's the next step?
So they get their one-to-one strategy call with one of our lot, and on that they literally go through your website. They go through everything that you've got, and they're like, okay, cool. This is what you need to do. These are where you're missing out a little bit, and this is what you need to go and do. We then the next step is we audit everything. So we'll audit your website,
everything that you're doing,
every active channel, which is obviously pretty cool. So we'll audit all your socials, we'll audit your ads, and you need to give us access, agency access. So audit your Google ads, audit your TikTok ads, whatever that needs to be. And again, we then feed that back and say, this is a bit wrong, creative's off, this is what it should be, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, we then give you the templates to go and do it. So we give you all your ad templates, all your email templates, all your email plugins, everything that you need. And then, in my opinion, the beauty of it is if you're running ads, you can still come back to us every day, screenshotting, sending us looms in the group chat and be like, guys, do I scale this? Do I kill this? Should I move this? Do I change the creative? Is this copy all right? Anything consultative you can do. So it's just like, it's big.
So you said you was working with what type of businesses, like e-com?
Yeah, so product-based and service-based.
Service-based business. So, for example, like a recovery truck business, would that work?
Like pure lead gen.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. And you sort out the Google ads as well.
Yeah.
What about their ad spend? They'd have to put that in there.
So they have to put their own ad spend
but you just guide and direct
Exactly, them.
Mate, you need to set me with some affiliate code or something like this.
No, honestly,
some clients there for you, bro.
Yeah, no, 1,000,000% we will. I think I love it. I think.
But what I'm thinking is that what you're offering it sounds so valuable. I don't know how you're managing to make it happen, bro. Because again, I do think that price point is someone should bite your hand off.
I think there's two things on that. I think the first one is, again, to use the word, which is getting a bit boring, I suppose. But we're blessed to have the agency.
It's never boring, man. You rinse that, bro.
Agency pays for everything. Wow. So you couldn't do it if you didn't have the agency because it wouldn't work, right? The numbers don't work. But because of the agency, they pay for all of our people, and the people then work on OGC.
Wow.
So it's sort of like self-fulfilling.
Yes.
And also from our side, if we can scale brands in OGC, then they'll come into the agency.
I was gonna say that when you started, that's like a funnel in itself.
Yeah.
Right. Well done, man. Sick, bro.
So that's really, really cool, and it gives that like time. One thing I also really disagree with is and I've made this mistake literally in the last 3 months, my own, which is super hypocritical, but taking clients straight into the agency, and we can definitely discuss this as well, taking clients straight in, you don't know each other. So you might see the business, but you don't know the business. So as an agency owner, I might go, okay, cool, I'm going to take you on as a client, and it's going to be, let's say, £4,000 a month, right? And you get full funnel management, CRM, ads, creatives, all this sort of stuff. But you don't know the person and the business and everything about it. So, and it takes time to do that. So let's say that takes a month or whatever to really get to know each other, 2 months.
Yeah.
That client is then £7,000 in the hole. So they're annoyed with you because you haven't done anything and they've paid you $7,000. And then you then fall out because you're trying and your guys are pumping, but you just can't get it moving. And then the whole relationship breaks down, and that is agency life. Agency lifetime cycle is normally like 3 to 5 months. Clients go in, they then get unhappy, they can't move, they go to another agency. The agency, they learn about them, they go to another agency, and it goes round and round and round. So with OGC, even big boys, I'm like, go in to OGC. I know it sounds ridiculous, but go in, do your strategy call, work your stuff out. We'll understand you for the first month, do all of your audits. We'll then see if we can help you. If we can, then we'll talk about agency.
Yeah.
So it becomes like a buffer to then getting into a relationship instead of just going, right, yeah, you owe us $7,000 and we're going to try.
Yeah.
Like, I just love that, like, initial period.
Is it more scalable as well, OGC as well? Can you get more people in at that price point then, like?
You can definitely get more.
Yeah.
It's if
would you be able to manage it?
Well, it only works with volume because of the price.
Yeah.
But then you've got that capacity position. So it's like, and you've got cash flow position as well, because let's say you're spending a lot on ads, you've got to be making sales and make that cash flow work.
Yeah.
So like scaling really is all about cash flow and how quickly can you get that money in to scale. But it is very, very scalable, and it's something that we probably could have scaled it a lot quicker. I just think that for us, I think it's all about, one of my main things is quality.
Yeah.
Like that's one of my main sort of pillars in life and in business is like keeping quality as high as physically possible. Like everything I send to a client, I want them to open it and be like, wow, I couldn't, how have you done that? Like that's nuts.
Yeah.
And shout out to Reese. He does that every minute of the day.
Yeah.
Like he, honestly, mate, he'll send me stuff now still, and I'm like, oh my God, how have you done that?
Is Reese your mate that you used to start all these businesses with?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw.
Oh yeah.
That was it. Yeah,
on the real, yeah.
Yeah, the real way you're like, and that's what I'm saying. Shout out to Adam. He's one of my best friends, my graphic designer as well, and that was how I related to you so much from day one. Any hustle that I've had, it's like, yo, ads, I got this idea,
got logo.
bro. He's like, laptop. Do you know what I mean? And now he's got his business, want designs, and yeah, it's lit. So yeah, big up Reese, man, wherever you are,
mate.
Man.
Honestly, those people,
just
incredible. And like, I'll do everything now in my power to make sure Reese is like paid for the rest of his life. Like I would like that. Yeah. My brother Reese, and everyone else that works for us. Yeah. But like Reese has. Honestly, mate, I'll come to him. We used to live with each other actually as well, like with another one of our mates. There's 3 of us. Yeah. And I used to come down and I'd be like, Reece, I've got this idea, right? We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And like one time I said to him, I've got a van load of stuff coming round. Yeah. And he was like, mate, he's like, how the hell are we going to flog that? I was like, I don't know, but I need a logo.
I'm saying protect Reese and Adam at all costs.
Yeah, exactly.
Protect them, man.
Find yourself a Reese and an Adam. That's basically my only advice.
Protect them at all costs, man. Plug them in the captions and that. But
100%.
So what I was gonna say is this: like, I'm hearing that you can make a banging Oreo Hennessy cake. Can you whip us up the banging Oreo?
Mate, honestly, in a mug. Don't get better than that.
So what, you've been running for like 3 years now, yeah? But LinkedIn saying it's 2. Over that time period, what's been one of the most difficult things? I know you mentioned these clients that you might take on and it doesn't go as well as you might have imagined. Like, what's been one of the most messed up situations that you've managed to overcome? And
I think with any scaling, like especially as founder, and by the way, I have an amazing co-founder called Charlie. I would definitely suggest that as well. He complements me amazingly. The guy is just incredibly intelligent, like does everything, knows how to do everything. Just one of those guys that you just like, you ask and he just knows it. And he's just humongously great human. So shout out to Charlie.
Shout out Charlie, man.
And also they're 10 years older than me and also brings that like, well, he was a CMO in America for a multi-billion-dollar company. Sick. So like brings us that piece as well. I think hard times are when, especially when trying to scale, cash flow is such a huge thing that in reality, founders do get hit first, which is, I think, probably right in the sense that we won't take any money if we're trying to scale. We're pumping everything back in. We've had like months and months and months where we won't take money. And there's always that like, you're not taking money and it's going down and you're trying to move and move and move. And you've got to go into work and be like, right, what's good? We're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. And it's balancing that. Which is obviously massive, especially when you get to the point where it's maybe not like 10 quid either way. You're spending a lot, and you got to make that move, and that happens quite quickly. But I suppose at the same time that's also great. But that's been a lot. I think hard times, a lot of like personal learnings, mate. Honestly, like I think communication. Like there's been loads of times where we've not got quite communication right, and you learn again. things have like broken down, and you have to sort of just sit in a room together. Like there's not that long ago, like sort of like 3-4 months ago, with some decisions that needed to be made, and I was in a bit of a like, and it was like 8 o'clock or something, and I was like, I've just got to go home. So I went home anyway. As I got on the train, Charlie literally ran up and was like, mate, we've got to sit this out. So he went back, just sit there and just have it out. And I think, a lot of it's around like cash flow and humans and emotions and all of that stuff, and trying to navigate that in the best possible way. And then from a client side, I think just always, one thing that we've always done brilliantly, which I think has got us out of a lot of issues, is I've always said to everyone that comes to work for us, like, we will do everything we possibly can to make it okay. Like, which is bad, by the way, sometimes. Some things that I'm not very good at is I'm not great at cutting things off. And I think sometimes I probably should have just been like, actually, this is never going to work. And this is hurting us. I need to cut it off. And I'm learning that slowly.
What's that in relation to, like, what you're saying?
Clients, people, like, you know, we always try and solve things all the time. Like, one of my main things is I'm like, that's an issue, solve, and I'll throw all of my resource on it. And that can be, that's so tunnel vision. That's so just like stuck in the day to day. Whereas Charlie's much better at taking a step back and going, that's a micro problem. Might be like huge in my head, but in reality, the big picture is quite small. We shouldn't be sending everyone there to go and sort it out. In reality, it would have been much better to just cut that situation, let it bleed, unfortunately, and sort it, and then move on. But I think that's why we balance each other out.
Yeah, definitely.
Scaling's hard, man. Scaling is hard.
And I appreciate you sharing that with us, man. So, like I said, I got a community group. Within it, we've got some members. We're focused on personal development, learning how to earn some money, create businesses, and also stay fit as well. You on the fitness hype? What's going on?
Mate, I don't look it. I don't look
you're like right. Sorry, I had to ask that, man. No, you're looking well. You're in good shape.
Cheers, mate.
You're not...
It's been grafted 6 months in the gym.
Well, you're looking well, bro.
I'm joking.
Yeah, you're looking well, man.
Am I? No, I am. I train, but I back in the day I did like 100k runs and shit. I was just doing like ultra marathons, which was mad. So I did that, and then I was skinny. I was like real skinny. And then I was like, no, I don't like being skinny. So started eating and training. So I'm up to like, I'm doing all right, but yeah, I've trained a bit.
Does it help like your mindset, or does it help you in the day-to-day?
Even if I just went, so I go to the gym in the morning before work, so I go at like 6 or something, or 6, whatever. Even if I just go there and sit in it, like, I'll train obviously, and it might be a rubbish training session, but like it's just I leave my phone on DND, like do not disturb in the mornings, because I used to get up, the phone would go on, and it'd just be like, so and I'll leave it on DND, go train, and then I go to work a lot less angry and like with a clearer mind. That's not to say that it's always great, but like definitely helps. 1,000,000%, 100%.
Sick. So one of our members, he wanted me to ask you these questions personally. He's still in uni. He's got his own agency as well. What he's doing, and he wants to know what do you think the first thing that an agency owner should outsource is? By
the way, feels like big imposter syndrome giving advice.
That's mad, man. Come on, bro. Like, you can't be running this whole episode and then saying that. No, it's sick.
But no, it's sick. What would I outsource first? So very different business model. I personally chose not to outsource. So I wanted to keep quality control. So the issue that you've got with outsourcing, it's great from a commercial perspective, don't get me wrong, you're winning. But from a quality perspective, it can be, don't get me wrong, it can be incredible and you can get so lucky. But I would say your quality control can go down very quickly. And when you're a one-man band and you're getting started and maybe you've got 2 clients, if one of them goes a bit Pete-tong wrong, then what are you going to do? So I would say try and keep it as in-house as you can for as long as you can. Obviously that's expensive. You don't want to be hiring people, but what you can do and control is probably the best. One thing that I did outsource relatively quickly was like content creation. Because you don't need them all the time. So when we were hiring, there's people that I needed all of the time. Whereas maybe for him, it's like videographers, photographers. Those guys amazing at their craft, very very expensive. So that was the first thing that I outsourced. Okay,
and how to retain clients? What's your advice around that?
Communication. I would say the best bit of feedback.
You got a 90% retention rate on your clients.
Pretty mad.
Which is impressive. So you're kind of, there's no imposter syndrome in that level.
No, that one I'm sound with.
Yes.
And I think the reason that's been, I suppose there's 2 points on that though. Actually, the first one is communication. One bit of feedback I get all the time is, especially agency side, I'll talk to them, most days. If that's about like how ads are doing, or if that's about like ideas that we're having, then I'll always be in conversation with them. I'm going up to Manchester today to see one of our clients that we've had for like 2.5 years, and I'll constantly do that, mainly because I also love it and I enjoy it. But also I think communication is really, really key. Retention does get much harder when you scale. So one thing that we have definitely struggled with is pulling away from myself and Charlie. So our retention rate is probably so good because clients get that high touch piece all of the time. So they get to talk to me all the time from like an agency side. And we had 2 decisions really to make. We were like, we either hire more account managers and they manage the accounts, or we have to increase the prices. And because we couldn't do both really, because I couldn't keep doing everything, right? So we decided, we tried both, so we split tested both, which is what every good marketer should do, I suppose. But we split tested both, and the account management side just didn't really work for us. So we went to increase prices and to keep agency pretty compact, to be honest, and hence why we've then got OGC and we've got our own brands, because we've diversified that concentration risk. That's literally how we start the conversation. But so I think retention at the start is on you, and I put a lot of pressure on myself on that, and he will have to, or she will have to as well. I think it's a case of like, get out there, talk to them every day, face the issues. Like, there's gonna be problems. Pick up that phone, dude, I'm sorry, I put the wrong copy on the ad. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, we've done this. Oh my God, I'm like, this has happened.
Communicate.
To give an example, we had an amazing client that we still have today, Grail Watch Club. Like, literally from, I'm sure you won't mind me saying, but like lower 5 figures to, multi 6 figures a month now. Like, beautiful company.
Sick.
And at the very beginning, he basically does watch competitions. So like, you buy tickets to win a watch. We put some ads up with the wrong watch on, and I saw it on my feed, and I was like,
somebody's getting sacked.
It was me. I was like, oh my God. It was me, Charlie. At that point, there was probably like 5 of us. So there's a few guys doing design and stuff like that. And I saw it. I was like, first thing I did, I just called him.
Straight away.
And I just went, mate, before you see this has happened. I'm sorting it. And we sorted it, and it was fine, and everything was okay. And we've now had them for a very, very long time. But those mistakes still happen today, not on that level, but there'll be a bit of copy that's wrong, or maybe they go up late or whatever. And I think if you have like, and we've also had hard times between us as client and agency. Like, we've sat down a lot of times and gone like, what's going on? How can we make this better? How can we be better? And I messaged him this morning on the train, actually, because I was thinking about it, and I was like, mate, how have we gone from doing 1 comp and it's selling out in like 2 months to now we do like 3 a week? And it's like that, looking at that from a bigger perspective. But again, that's communication between me and him as founder to founder, sort of being like, thank you, and he's very grateful and we're very grateful, and there's that level of communication. So
Sick.
I think if you can build great relationships, retention comes with that, like high quality, good communication, good relationships, good retention. Also, sometimes I do have to say, you can't keep everyone, and I've had to get to peace with that. Like, with one of our biggest watch clients, which I was so sad and gutted to lose, but they basically were going to sell. So we'd done our job, we'd made sales, and they got to an amazing revenue perspective, and they needed investment because they wanted to sell part of the business. With investment comes new investors, comes more conversations, and normally incumbent agencies, that's pretty much how it works. And we had to hold the conversation. It was like you're breaking up with like your girlfriend or boyfriend, and he was like, mate, I'm so sorry. And I was gutted, mate. I was like, but sometimes you can't keep everyone. Yeah, man. And it happens. Yeah. But just trying to keep quality high, communication high, definitely.
Well, listen, bro, I don't want to be selfish, bro. There's other points we could touch on as well. I know you're a busy guy. You got a busy schedule as well. I've really, really enjoyed the conversation. I could pick your brain for hours.
Mate, if you want to keep going, we can keep going for this. It's up to you.
You sure?
Yeah, sound. I'll just get another train.
Nah, you sure? Don't tempt me with a good time. Right,
it's completely up to you.
Yeah, well, wasn't your other training?
I don't know. There'll be another one up to Manny though.
Well, listen, go on then. You mentioned like putting the prices up, yeah. And in terms of, I think it was managing. So sometimes you had to put the prices up. Was it in retention that you mentioned it, or outsourcing, right? So this is the last question from Isaac, and you see that, Isaac, man, we're bending space and time for you right about now.
Mate, you can drop me a DM as well.
Yeah, Isaac, drop him a DM as well, man. Respect. Look, This guy's is doing a lot for multi-million-dollar businesses, and the little guys at the bottom, which is me, 5'6", bro. Yeah. So we appreciate you, man. So the last question that Isaac had is like, how do we sell high ticket? I'm assuming he's talking about getting them high ticket clients and stuff like that. And again, I'm assuming maybe, I don't know what he's talking about. You probably got more of an insight to me, and maybe like having the confidence or having those conversations, or how to sell high ticket.
Yeah.
That's what Isaac would like to know.
Yeah, I think two parts on that. I think the first one, if you're getting started, got to take a knee at the beginning. You're not going to go and get the 12, 15 grand packages. It's not going to happen, unfortunately, and that's brutal, but it's not going to happen. Like when we first started, mate, I was knocking about doing ads for cheap to learn and get testimonials and case studies, and I was out like with the JE situation, going about like grafting. So I think at the beginning, high ticket.
What's the JE?
He's the guy who owns London Muscle I met in the alley to give the tracksuits to.
Yeah. He owned the business in London.
LDNM, exactly. But I think you won't get high ticket straight away. Like, unfortunately, it depends what you class as high ticket, but I would say like
you said, like them 12, 15 grand packages. Shit like
that's not, unfortunately, that's not going to happen to begin with. I think at the beginning it's about learning.
So you need case studies. You kind of mentioned 100%. That as well. Do the small things first.
And don't ever underestimate referrals. Like, for me, everyone comes to me all the time, like, I want to run ads. I'm like, 100% I get that. You should run ads. And you should run your organics. But how many referrals are you getting? And they're like, I don't really ever get referred. I'm like, sort that first. Because they're the easiest sell you'll ever have as a referral. Yeah. Like, someone will call me and be like, Charlie's referred me. Can we do X, Y, Z? I'm like, yeah, it's this much. I'm like, sound.
Yeah.
Like, because you've already got all those amazing case studies, and they've been talking about you down the football, or they've been talking about you in the CAF or whatever.
Yeah.
So referrals, definitely. I think, sorry, to answer the question about high ticket.
Yeah.
I think it's hard at the start. When you get to high ticket, you need incredible testimonials, but you also need to go in there, chest up, mate, and just be like, I know I can do this. And I will do this. And actually, high ticket, when you price high, people think you can. There's an amazing video I just literally posted my story from Hormozy, and he was talking about the wine bottles in it.
Big up Hormozy, man. We appreciate your knowledge and stuff like that. We're sharing you out. We're leveraging your stuff, man.
But the wine bottles is a great one. They priced them differently. They priced them all differently and got people to test all of them and said which is the best, and they all picked the high, and they said the cheap one is rubbish.
Yeah,
they were the same bottle of wine, right? And I think with high ticket selling, you need to go in there like, I got this.
Yeah,
and then you need to be able to sell.
Yeah.
Really, if I could say to anyone any skill, like, go and learn how to sell, because that will change everything. Because you're not just selling product. High ticket, you're selling to all of your contractors. You're selling to, I don't know how, like, what your guys' situation is with this place, but like, you have to sell to get time in here.
This guy's a wizard, bro. Chase is a wizard.
But the thing is, like, you built relationships. Yeah. Someone sold to someone. But like, the point being that, like, if you are always selling. Yeah. Like, and like with the guy that's asking the questions, like, just learning how to sell and learning how to build relationships. That's how you close high ticket. Because then you go in and you go, and you got to justify it, obviously, but you're like, actually, again, another Hormozy story, but he was like, I know I can generate 7 figures, so it's going to cost 100 grand.
Yeah, 100%.
And then what are you going to...
You just got to be confident.
Yeah.
Confident, yeah, man. That's sick, bro, yeah. Because, I've been closing my clients now. But again, I know that I'm still at that entry level where I'm making sure that I do a fantastic job. I'm making sure that she or he's over the moon so I can get that case study. And I know that my next level now, I will be like, more bread, higher price point. Yeah. So it feels comfortable to know that that's what you're saying as well. It was actually my platform that allowed me to use the podcast shorts as an example for the type of service that she would be receiving. Yes, yeah. But that is nothing to do with what she's expecting. Yeah. She said, can you show me examples of your work? Luckily, the last guest was talking about hiring help. I said, look, this is not exactly what we're going to be doing for you, but it is relevant to our conversation. You talk about hiring help. I've done the edit. And so, I thought you might want to have a look at it. And she's like, yeah, you know what? I want to take a point with you. Like, this is amazing. Class. And it's only now that the whole portfolio of everything that we've been doing is compounding to where it actually serves as an authority to make her confident in it. Yeah. But now it's going to be the case studies and stuff like that. But I'm a complete Well, I'll be a novice in terms of running the ads and stuff like that. Just everything, getting it all done. Very much like one person business model now. So yeah, I don't know how I'm going to get it done. But
Mate, you're building a mad network.
Yeah, the network's sick.
And again, you sold to me.
Yeah.
Because like you said before this, as in like when you reached out, like I'm tiny on Instagram and that, but like I do get a few DMs about going on podcasts and that, and I'm normally just like whatever. And then we spoke again and again and again. And I watched the stuff and I was like, I know, sound. And then obviously we're here and you sold that situation to me. But my network becomes sort of like yours and yours becomes mine. And like from anything that you now need or like looking for, you know that really from that side I've got, and from like a podcast side I know that I've got. It's just constantly building network.
100%.
I used to think that was also just rubbish too, but it's not.
Yeah, network is your net worth.
Yeah, it's so annoyingly true, isn't it?
Yeah, man. So even like what I was saying to you is that I'm not just podcast, bro. Like I have skills that I know, like interpersonal skills. Through the podcast, you get long form content, you chop it into short form. I can do the behind the scenes stuff, like you said, come down to London, come to the office, all this day in the life vlogging type of stuff. All that. That's something that I know that I can also offer to people, and I'm offering to people as well. So it's a big bonus. But on that topic of podcasting, like what is it? How many podcasts have you done in the past?
Mate, literally none. I don't do it. I go to
first podcast.
Yeah, mate, 100%. No, we get asked quite a bit, but I just don't. Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah, it's never like felt right or like been right. And like for me, it's all about like client management stuff, right? It's not really about us, but I suppose OGC has changed that a bit because now we're sort of trying to everything out there a bit. So maybe that's changed things slightly.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, like, what's your reason for jumping on a podcast? To you, what do you see the benefit of podcasting, and do you listen to other podcasts as well? Are you tuned in? Are you locked in? What sort of content do you consume? So yeah, 2 questions there.
I think our long form podcasts still as relevant as they used to be. I don't think so. But what I love about podcasts is that they give endless content. So I'll tell all of our guys, get yourself on a podcast and talk. Yeah. And build relationships, build network, but actually we'll take that video, right? Let's say it's an hour and a half. We'll then cut that into 1 million edits, and that then gives us feed for like 6 months. Yeah. When else do you do that? Yeah. Like you got day in life videos, they take hours to edit and film, and they're amazing, don't get me wrong, but they take so long. On a podcast, we'll sit here, or I'll send one of the guys on a podcast and they'll be like, okay, cool. They'll chat for an hour and a half, and we've then got 6 months of content. We're like, it's amazing. We use it for ads, we use it for organics, everything. So I think they're exactly. Yeah. But I think they're incredible for content. So I think that, and then for me, with a consuming perspective, again, I don't really consume like mass amounts of long form content, but I will go and listen to the shorts that I get hit with. So like a lot of the stuff that I've referenced today.
The important shit is in the shorts.
Mate, the stuff that I've referenced today that I've like learned on and whatever has been from a podcast clip or whatever on Instagram. So I suppose I consume it that way around. Yeah,
and so for me, that's where like creating these episodes and sticking them on YouTube. Linked up with Simon Squibb, he's from your side.
I saw it.
And he was like, oh, looks like you don't really know what he's doing right now. But shout out to Simon anyway, because you're right, I'm a novice, right? But I'm not like, I don't worry necessarily because, cool, a load of YouTube views, that'll be sick and amazing, and 1 million subscribers. We look forward to reaching that milestone, definitely. But right now, as you said, it's so multi-purpose. It's the short form content 100%. Where it's like amazing. Even that collaboration with Simon, that's like 30 seconds, where the power of that is so substantial. Like a 60-minute conversation, maybe only 100 or 200 or 1,000 people are watching that, and they're not watching it for the whole duration, but the short clip, it can go on 5 different platforms, and that's why everybody should consider jumping on the podcast if you're building a brand, and I definitely encourage it. So when it comes to branding, brother, you work with brands and stuff like that, yeah? Obviously, what's your if someone gave a quick summary of like what is a brand, how to build a brand, like what's your thing there? My definition is like a brand there's a guy called Marty Neumeyer, you know. Yeah, he's like, a brand is a feeling. I just think a brand is an impression. I think of the original, like a branding iron, you know, in a car, whatever. Yeah, they'll have a hot iron and you'll make an imprint on something. So I think like a brand is an impression. And you mentioned logos and stuff like that, but you mentioned the actual action of going out there in the world and doing something. What's your perspective on it?
So brand-wise, I think one massive thing that is always overlooked is brand association. So brand association is basically, in its simplest form, what do you associate a brand with? So, for example, Sony, that's on the camera, straight away you associate with like high quality cameras.
Yes.
That's like brand association.
Yeah.
And they've created that brand association.
Yeah.
Nike, for example, you could say is like a successful athlete, because that's the association that you've got. Cole Buxton will have its own association, represent hardcore athleticism, whatever, like whatever that piece is. iPhone is cool and it's slick, whatever. That's all brand association stuff, and that's all built from like your influencers, who you use, the way you talk, your tone of voice, your brand voice, all of that stuff that's done behind the scenes. People neglect that a lot. It's like they'll build a logo, build a website, and it's like, okay, that's cool, and that's like your visual, but how do people like really feel and what they associate when they think of your brand? And there's loads of ways to build that, right? I think again, to go back to your point of podcasting, I think something that brilliant brands are doing at the moment is getting onto podcasts. They're putting founders on podcasts. Founders
on the podcast, like a founder's story, having a face.
Founder-led companies, mate, huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely humongous. And I think like putting those personal brands out is a massive play that people should be looking at. I think as well, building cult following is massive.
Yeah.
Like if you can really try. I mean, there's these girls who have created like a pickle company. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
I'll send it. It's mad. They're in America. They sell pickles.
Okay.
But point being, they've created like a brand and a following, and that sort of that cult following around them. So they're like making good money, but that's creating a brand around this like random thing.
Yeah.
But like clothing brands, there's so many clothing brands. How can you differentiate yourself?
Yeah.
How can you feel like good brand association with that?
Yeah.
Can you do drops? Can you like all of those like different strategies to sort of play into brand?
Yeah.
Brand building, again, shouldn't be underestimated. It's hard.
Yeah. So have you got like, you know, you mentioned the clothing ones. Have you got any that you particularly see and you're like, that's sick? Is it like Cortez, or I see these ones where they're doing the drops in Paris and London, you got kids
UVU, man,
flooding.
So there's a company called UVU. They're Cole Buxton's sport line, basically.
Right.
I think the investors are the same, but they do like incredible pop-up shops in wherever marathons are, and they'll take all their gear. But all of their influencer founders are also pushing hard on UVU. It's a brilliant brand to show like how to do drops, how to create demand, how to create brand. Mate, they've got a landing page, right? That's just got a password on it. And they email out the password. And it's not like designed super nice. It's black. It's got UVU in pink and a password box. That's it. And they sell out every single time.
Yes.
So that's really cool. I like
Is it like a SMS? Did they use SMS?
Yeah, we use SMS.
Are you into SMS?
Yeah, massive.
So my historically.
Yeah. But genuinely, exactly the same. It's exactly the same. But again, really interestingly, exactly the same has to be used at the right time.
100%.
If you're dinging people text all day, it doesn't work. It doesn't have impact. But if you message them when it's needed and that pain point's there, then it plays.
Yeah.
So no, definitely. UVU, great one to go look up. Unreal.
Sick.
Working with some like smaller guys at the moment. There's a guy who's got a really cool shoe brand that's going to launch called Nosta, Nosta. A lot like Axel Arigato, that sort of vibe, but again doing like very similar drops. Really, really cool. I love that idea. There's loads out there, mate, but it's just about creating that buzz.
So if somebody's watching this or listening to this, or may be listening to this and know someone who could benefit from your service, what would that person look like in terms of your ideal client? OGC, Operexx, this is a message to them. This is you. Get in touch. Who's that person or organization?
I think everything's running through OGC because we're so passionate about it, and I think because it's working really well. So I think for us, it's if you run a product company, so an e-commerce company or a service business, you're looking to grow, but you don't want to pay big agency fees. And I think you know that you have good product or you know you have good service, but you don't want to be forking out £3,000, £4,000 a month on an agency, but you still need that strategy, the support, the guidance, the community aspect of all of it. We've literally copied our big agency agency into an affordable price rate or better price rate, because the store appreciates a lot for scaling companies, right? But yeah, it's for anyone really that's looking to scale their businesses. It's there and it's banging. That's also lead gen as well.
It's also lead gen. Why is it lead gen?
So like, for example, we scaled a bollard company.
That's this. Yeah, go on. I've seen it.
Yeah, so we scaled those guys. We took them from zero.
Wow.
6 figures a month now. Hardly any spend, honestly. I shouldn't say that, because they
relatively
have spend.
speaking.
Relative to, I think we're like 30x ROI, something like that. Yeah. So it's super strong. So we've done that, but that's like from a lead generation perspective, because it's ads into funnel, into literally phone call, sales, sell, done, implement. So you could also see that as like painters and decorators or landscape companies or car sourcing companies, because a lot of the stuff I did back in the day was all lead generation, just creating leads, creating churn.
Yeah, man.
So it's e-com, product, service, online service, so fitness influencers, coaches, that sort of thing, and then lead generation, so the bollards, the builders, anyone that's running Google ads, all that sort of stuff.
Funnels and shit. A lot of funnels. Yeah. That's big, man. I know that so many people can benefit from that service 100%, as well. 100%.
We also have an affiliate code, all good.
Sorted, mate. Nice, mate. Been a productive day. So you mentioned that you're small on Instagram, right? You're quite small, and you said that, right? But how comes you're not really big on it, and do you not view social media as important? Is socials important? A lot of people just scrolling aimlessly on TikTok. They say use the internet, don't let the internet use you. Like, what's the importance or non-importance of socials? Why are you not really?
It's so important.
Yeah.
It is like, at the moment, it is so important. And I didn't really realise probably how important. I think one thing that I'm pushing with all of our brands is to have an incredible organic base, test organically, move organically, no spend. And then when you spend. And then you can really be impactful with that spend. Don't go straight to spend. If you start spending straight away, you're going to have to waste a lot of cash. Don't get me wrong. If you've got 100 mil sat in the bank, then go and do that. But it's not
if you've got 100 million in the bank, chat to me, bro. Yeah, cool. We'll get in touch, man.
So yeah, I think they're incredibly important. The reason we haven't got a big following is just because I've just started actually outputting content because of OGC, and yeah, something that we're just starting. I think we've gained like 2,500 followers in the time that we got going, but still very, very small. But again, for me, from an ego perspective, and I've seen this both ways, follow account in my brain is way secondary to like leads and revenue. So I've got guys that maybe have 5,000 followers, but everyone that follows them, mate, is messaging them and buying fitness plans. Great. Like, incredible. I've got guys that have got 1 million followers, can't get a lead because they think they're too big or they're not going to be personal enough or whatever that is. So although follow account is incredibly important for loads of different reasons, it's also less important than how much money you're making.
Yeah, of
off
course.
The back of it.
Yeah, standard. I've seen a reel where it's like there's people with like 1 million followers that have not got 10 grand in a bank or whatever, stuff like that.
Of course.
Obviously, respect anybody, whichever stage you are at in life. Like, I'm not saying if you're not got 10 grand in a bank, then I'm looking down 100%. On you. But we're just talking about.
Again, just be careful what you see, right? Because like everything's a blag still. Like I said to you before the thing, in the sense that it is still very easy to go and acquire followers. But
you got to look at the engagement.
And if you're going for influencers, don't just look at their followers and their engagement. Also look, who are they influencing? Like, they might have 2,000 followers, but if those 2,000 followers are your ideal client, get them on board.
Yeah.
Like make sure that they're influencing the right people. Again, no disrespect at all to the Made in Chelsea lot, because I think they've done incredibly for themselves, fair play. But I've had a lot of people go to them for influencer work, and these will be male brands, go to the male influencers, and they get nothing back on ROI. Now, I think that the reason for that is because really the Made in Chelsea guys influence maybe women who watch Made in Chelsea. So it's about working out what these guys influence, because on the flip side of that, Faye, my girlfriend, now wife, which is a bit weird, she will buy stuff off of influencers. So it 1,000,000% works, but it's just trying to find out the right ones to use, if that makes sense.
100%.
But no, to answer your question, I think social media is the absolute king, the don. I do think, again, on concentration risk, don't get reliant on one platform. Try your best, and I know it's so hard, and I'm so hypocritical for this, but try and use different platforms, just because if TikTok gets banned in the US, which is looking like it will happen, who knows what happens here. If Instagram goes down again like it did a couple of months ago, then you lose all your following. You just got to be a bit careful. Just got to be a bit careful.
No, 100%.
Build an email list.
Email list is massive, right? Because that, and then you own
those people,
your database.
Yeah. There are big influencers who have come to us. We'll be like, have you got data? And they're like, no. And it's like, if you go down.
Yeah, if you lose your passwords, you get hacked.
And also normally guys that are doing well are very controversial. So Meta will shut them down. Like fitness influencers, for example, you can do little things like if you got your top off all the time, if you're saying things that maybe you shouldn't be, they'll shut you down. Yeah. So you just got to be a bit careful. And
the data is valuable as well, man.
Very valuable, yeah.
And also it's another way of communicating as well. So there's no reason not to do it. You know about this TikTok shop? You plugged in?
Yeah, a bit. We know a lot about it. We haven't implemented loads of it, to be honest. I think it's working in like certain niches and for certain people, definitely. My only concern with TikTok Shop, and this isn't built on data, so like I don't want to get loads of hate for this, but my concern is that it's a race to the bottom and a race to zero because the price is so low. Basically what's happening is the manufacturers in China or whatever are also being able to advertise on TikTok Shop. So you're competing with guys that are coming straight from the source. So consequently the price is just going down. So I've got guys that are at a slightly higher price point. TikTok Shop just isn't the one. But it's not to say it's not the one for everybody. It will work definitely for some brands, 1,000,000%. I had a guy that was flogging like high-vis stuff on workwear. Incredible numbers on TikTok Shop. So it definitely works. I think it's just working out if it works for your brand or not.
Yeah, because a lot of the time when they discuss like this race to the bottom stuff, the reason that they say don't lower your prices is because you want to make sure that you have a strong brand that encourages people to spend with you rather than a cheaper option. So maybe it might level out in the future, or hopefully that might come into play.
It might do. I think it's still a great platform. There's loads of new stuff coming about, right? So it's just about keeping your finger on the pulse.
We'll keep an eye on it. That's what I was going to say. Right?
Always.
So listen, on that note, socials, where do we find you? How do we get in touch with the OGC?
Yeah.
Operexx, all of that, man.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, so my Instagram is George_OPX. And you can drop me a DM. I'm always on there. There's a load of links in my bio as well, just to book a call if you want to book a call on, and we'll jump on and chat through what you've got. OGC, we do everything in weekly intakes because we keep selling out, which again is great.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, it's a blessing. So that's class. But we're doing weekly intakes now. So we do everything by appointment only. So like you book a call. We then go through, again, we work out if we can actually help you. And I think we're very good at being like, I'm sorry, right now it's not quite right. Or, yes, we can definitely help. And then from there, we'll take the next step. But yeah, drop me a DM. I'm always about.
Sick, bro. Listen, thanks again for coming on.
Mate, thank you so much.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Honestly,
you're welcome anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Plug some people in our way. I'll send some people your way.
100%.
Yeah?
Nice.
Respect. Anything else you want to add?
No, mate. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Honestly, I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. Make sure you follow him on the socials. If you're not following us already, what you're doing, subscribe. Share this with somebody that needs to hear the massive amount of gems that just got dropped. And yeah, we'll catch you in a bit.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Cheers.